What's up, boys? It's no secret that the past 10 years haven't been kind to gamers. It's almost felt like some sort of conspiracy to keep gamers oppressed so they don't rise up and become the kings and queens they were always meant to be. Well, From Software has said, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the great machine has risen upon you." Praise Yamamura. For those of you sinners who may reject the word of our Lord and Savior, allow my message to cleanse your souls. I've actually been knocking around this idea for quite some time now. I know there's been something wrong, but I couldn't find a vehicle capable of delivering this message in the right way. Then, VATnVIDIA's preview of Armored Core 6 dropped, and I knew exactly what's been wrong with games lately. Studios have, in their bottomless avarice and near infinite hubris, left behind what brought us sentient monkeys to gaming in the first place. Those pioneers who first touched a controller played because the experience was new and exciting. Times were simpler then, and even despite the lack of depth, they played still. Being on the cutting edge of technology was, in and of itself, cool. Not in the traditional sense, such as catching the winning throw in the football game or becoming a fighter pilot. No, it provided a sense of self-worth for those on the fringes of society. The Sean Murrays or the Todd Howards of the world. Those of weaker constitutions, but a fierce desire to learn and explore. And this group of outcasts would go on to provide environments to do just that for the next generation of gamers. Games like GoldenEye, Halo, Grand Theft Auto, Call of Duty, Elder Scrolls, Diablo, Gears of War, Devil May Cry, Counter-Strike. As much as I want to touch on every single one, there's far too many well-loved classic games to list. But if you've played any of these games growing up, I know for a fact a certain nostalgic wave just crashed over you. Take me back to sitting on a carpeted floor on a snow day. Take me back to when mom would make chicken nuggets and watch Law and Order in the other room. Take me back to arguing with my little brother about whether screen peeking is cheating. It definitely is, by the way, but I was doing it too. Take me back to when I'd play for 8 hours straight and be just as excited to start it all again tomorrow as I was when I woke up. And sure, there's a lot of desire for simpler times, before taxes and medical bills, but it's not just that. Because when I booted up Elden Ring and heard that booming voice in the intro, the visuals striking and the delivery giving me chills, when I saw that world for the first time, there it was again. That old friend, like he never left. That me that got excited to wake up and go at it again and again and again. I spent 250 hours on my first playthrough. It took me something around a week and a half, and even while it grew frustrating at times, I knew seeing it through to the end would make me better off. And it did. However, I can't just sit here and believe that FromSoft somehow bottled magic, because if it's magic, then it can't be reverse engineered. We'd all be doomed to an eternity of Overwatch Reforged and Halo Infinite. So something else has to be inside that bottle, and I'm going to find out by looking at what's changed. Think back to those moments in the old games, blowing up warthogs in Halo big team battles, sawing enemies in half in Gears of War, hitting fat combos in Devil May Cry, or even pulling off an ace in CSGO. All these moments exemplify badass. While we usually default to the "I know it when I see it" approach, I think there are a few elements to its composition that are important to discuss. While we go over these, think of them more as checkboxes, rather than essential elements to a good game. A good game checks one or two of these boxes, but an excellent game checks all three. I'm sure you've seen the male audience TikToks, and if you haven't, you've certainly seen videos where things fit just perfectly into other things. There's something in our brains that's inherently satisfied with viewing these. I'm no scientist, but this applies to certain other types of visual stimuli too, like missiles taking off, or a samurai duel, or talented driving. Some kind of visual spectacle that needs to be integrated into a game. This could be in the form of the world or landscape, or the enemies, or the combat, or all of the above. This is the you know it when you see it part of what badass means in gaming. Many of you will know this classic, but a few of you may be unfamiliar with it. The original Star Wars Battlefront 2. The game put you in charge of the ground troops in these massive battles, taking place all over the galaxy. While the game had other modes, I want to focus in on just the story. The developers took the time and paid the money to get the actor for Jango Fett, the original host of all the clones played by Temuera Morrison, sorry if I fucked that up, to keep things consistent with the other forms of media. He plays a retired clone telling his war stories of serving in the Republic's 501st Legion. His narrations tell the grim tales of the Legion's experiences, setting the stage for each mission.
My first day as a member of the 501st. It was hot, it was sandy, chaotic. Nothing at all like the simulations on Camino. Of course, that's pretty much the way it was for all of us, wasn't it? All that breeding, all those years of training. It doesn't really prepare you for all the screaming or the blood, does it? Frankly, I'm still amazed we ever made it through the first hour. Never mind the first day.
While narration is usually perceived as lazy storytelling, in this case, it works in spades. Almost like entries in a journal from each stage in the war. By the time each narration ends and gameplay begins, you feel like you're reliving that day as the clone soldier doing the narration. A clone that single-handedly turns the tide of each battle and lives to see the end of the war. The narration explains the thoughts of the men of the 501st, how their orders affected them by painting the relationships they had with the Jedi and the Republic as a whole. The narration reminds you that the battle is really about getting the mission over with as quickly and cleanly as possible. You want to win for the 501st, not for the Republic or for the Empire, but for the men standing next to you. This central theme remains ever present, that there may be winners in war, but the only people who really lose are those who have to fight it. Even emphasizing this when you play a mission fighting against a new batch of clones made specifically to rebel against the newfound Empire, forcing you to fight men with the same exact face. Playing as a single ground troop in battles that you don't get to decide should be boring by all accounts. Just this simple narrative work really gets you invested in the campaign and the fate of the 501st. But motivation can also come from within, especially in role-playing games like Elder Scrolls or, even better, Halo Reach. The whole campaign you're bombarded with excellent external motivation. The Covenant are on Reach, now you and your team have to rush to fight them off before they destroy the planet. Each member of Noble Team is a badass in their own way. Carter, the cool-headed leader, Kat, the tech expert, George, the fatherly heavy gunner, June, the wisecracking sniper, Emil, just a fucking sick guy all around. They all make you want to live up to what it means to be part of Noble Team. And as you progress through the story, you earn credits to buy new pieces of armor, making Noble 6 a more true representation of yourself. By the time you finish the campaign and you're ready to jump into the multiplayer, your Spartan is you, adding more value to every credit you earn at the end of every single match. This is the one that trips people up the most. When hearing skill expression, I'm sure most people instantly think to League of Legends, Valorant, Overwatch. All those sweaty games filled with tryhards. This, while kind of correct, is only partially correct. These games maximize skill expression while sacrificing other aspects, providing a high skill ceiling that players can work towards. But almost every good game has a sliding scale of skill. Think back to Elden Ring. You can get up close with a strength build, or you can blast enemies from afar with a magic build. One of these may be easier than the other, but they both exist along the sliding scale of difficulty within the game's mechanics. This also exists for simulation games such as Satisfactory and Stardew Valley. How? Well, let's look at Stardew Valley. Your first time playing, you're unaware of the different events that occur within the game, how the different systems work, etc., etc. So the farm you make in year 2 will be significantly better than the farm you made in year 1, not just because of your increased pool of resources, but because of your knowledge of the game world and its mechanics. Skill expressed as efficiency and application of knowledge. So lacking a high skill ceiling doesn't necessarily correlate with lacking the tools for skill expression. Now, if you've made it this far, you're likely seeing how all this ties back to Armored Core 6. From Software has put full focus on the coolness factor here. Just take some time and watch for a minute.
You're joining an operation planned by Balaam HQ. Check the briefing. Heard the good news from Walter, did ya? Good. Sit your ass down and listen. Balaam Group AC Squad Red Guns reporting for duty. Commence mission. Attack! Get in there, you maggots!
Great. An independent merc. Who's the wise guy who decided the Red Gun should be taking care of some freelance?
Who gives a shit? We'll handle this mission ourselves. One target destroyed.
Hey, freelancer. And no one even told you why we're here. Well, us free Red Guns are gonna go climb the wall. This is just target practice. When we're done, the locals' little base is next.
Good fine. Can't take yourself away from chatting with a tag-along? Why don't you start a sewing club together and stitch that damn mouth of yours shut?
From everything we've seen so far, FromSoft has put time and care into trimming all the fat off the game. The weapons, enemies, game world, all providing some of the greatest visual spectacle on display to date. The world building and story, all curated to pique curiosity and get you more invested in where the plot is headed. The movement and mech design mechanics, raising the ceiling on skill expression as high as is reasonable for a game of this genre. While I was fairly confident From Software was going to keep their energy up after releasing Elden Ring, we've been burned so many times before by once loved developers. Bungie and Destiny, CD Projekt Red and Cyberpunk, Blizzard and their entire recent catalog. But after the game trailer for Armored Core 6 dropped, I saw visions of a simpler time. A time before games as a service, before microtransactions, and before forced diversity statistics that just come off as more racism. When developers just put things in the game because it's fucking badass, and they knew people would love it. And all this isn't to say that I think Armored Core 6 is going to explode onto the scene and change the gaming world forever. In fact, I think mecha combat is a pretty niche field, and the game may be hard-pressed to gain the traction it deserves. But it's good to see that someone's willing to fight the good fight just for the sake of it. And that gives me hope. Thank you guys so much for watching. We've been doing really great lately, just passing 200 subs this week. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to tip your bartender by leaving a like. And I hope you fuckers have a great day. I'll see you on the next one.